Zest to their preparation as they geared themselves for the next match against their hosts, Transvaal. Dalton, his jaw wired up, still motivated his men.
Well, it's another hard game in our eyes. Regardless of what we read in the paper, that it'll be one of the easier ones. We're expecting a very hard game, and certainly the teams that have come out against us, regarding us as a New Zealand team, obviously, they're trying very hard, and I'm sure that Transvaal will be doing exactly the same tomorrow.
Back to the Golden City and another training session in the hot Highveld sun. Canterbury hooker John Mills joined the team as a replacement for Dalton and was pressed into action the very next day. Jock Hobbs took a break and Andy Hayden was named as captain. Transvaal's new skipper, Jannie Breed, expressed total confidence that his men would come out on top. He said they had a plan. Johannesburg, the city of gold, home of the Ellis Park Super Stadium, and of a team that could no longer be underestimated. A side that included ace goal kicker Skalk Nordier and a young flank forward named Val Bartman, who would later rise to greater heights, a man strangely not considered good enough for Transvaal earlier in the season. The referee that day would be Wynand Muntz, a Springbok himself for the Tour of New Zealand in 1965.
Came back up to Johannesburg, the Transvaal game, the encounter with the referee.
Yeah, the Transvaal game was one of those games where I guess on every tour you have them, you have a bad one, a real bad one, and that game was one of them. I'm not taking anything away from the Transvaal team. They played extremely well. They played, one would call a 10-man game where Nordier kicked a lot, but they won a lot of ball up front, especially at line-out time. And generally, I think they outplayed us. I know we had the opportunity to win the game maybe through kicking penalty goals, but one can't blame Robbie Deans for missing those. A kicker has his off day, and I guess that was his off day. But even though, if we'd have got those, I think we still might have been lucky to have won, especially the way we played. We had problems with the referee. He was very intent on blowing everything up, and which didn't suit our game at all, and generally we weren't happy with him at all. He allowed quite a bit of lifting the line out, which we hadn't really accepted as being part of the game at that stage. But still, apart from that, I don't think on the day we were good enough.
Up and under it, Alan Wetton, tackled there by Val Bartman. Robbie Deans with it. This could be dangerous if Smith can open up. And then intercepted under the post by Kutsia. Try under the post by Dean Kutsia. With the All Blacks trying.
And that try putting Transvaal into a 24-9 lead with only 8 minutes remaining. Although the New Zealanders forged back gamely to score true wonderful tries by that man Craig Green, they'd left their efforts too late, suffering their first defeat by 24 points to 19. Transvaal's guts had won the day, and 20 points from the boot of Skalk Nordier helped a bit too.
But advantage given for Kerry out to Green on the left. Craig Green watches beautiful running. He dodges past Varbar from inside again, and back it goes into Warwick Taylor. Warwick Taylor looking to pick up support. There is Wayne Smith there, taken by Hika Reid. Hika Reid to Shelford. A long one out here to Bryce Robbins on the right, but he cuts in. I think that was the wrong option perhaps, and that is Wayne Shelford with it. Shelford running, and out here to McDermott. There's Hika Reid. Hika Reid is tackled by Mark Faree, and still it goes on. Wayne Shelford with it, and McDowell going, and Shelford again. Now they'll want to set up the second phase. See Wetton is standing in the fly half position there. McDowell doing good work, trying to back it comes Loveridge, and a penalty will be given, but advantage is Bryce Robbins. Bryce Robbins trying to force his way back through there, and no advantage as the referee, and penalty for offside around the fringes of that ruck. What will they do? Well, they bash for the line, and that goes out to Shelford. Shelford held up a metre short. Andy Hayden is in there. Back to Hika Reid. Hika Reid going, trying to get over, but he's held up again. Back it comes. Loveridge dummying, going in the other way, and to Bryce Robbins. Robbins is held there. Transvaal in desperate defence, and it's all the All Blacks now. And Bryce Robbins in the thick of things, trying to get the ball back. Will it come back from this ruck? Referee waiting, looking to see if Transvaal are offside. Hika Reid with it. Back it goes to Wayne Smith. Out to Paul Carey. A long one. This must be a try. Out there on the left to Craig Green. This is his 5th try of the tour. Craig Green.
Referee Wynand Muntz, accused of killing the game with 31 penalties, didn't endear himself to the New Zealanders, but it was only round 1 for him and his chief critic Andy Hayden.
Mr. Muntz called the two captains from the dressing shed, Jannie Breed and myself, and described how he was going to interpret the rules on the day and what he wanted us to do. And he said he wanted us to discipline our own teams while he carried on refereeing. And I thought that was a good attitude. But then he continued with a long spiel about how good he was. And I thought, well, we're in for trouble today. So that was the start of the incident. And when we got down to Western Province, there was an obvious negative reaction from us when we saw him on the touchline. And in the first 20 minutes, there was an infringement against us that he'd picked up that was considerably far out on the field. And then later on in the game, another one in which I was involved. And after the first one, I said to Steve Stridham that I hope he didn't have any more influence on the game, because we weren't going to be staying around to let him rule the game. And so that's where it developed from.